2020 here in South Dakota. Please join me in Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, yes I do. Would you do?
Here.
Cook?
Here.
Bragg?
Here.
Robish?
Present.
Mayor here.
Here. We're going to adjourn at this time for the city to convene for the Board of Adjustment for the following public hearings. 2.1, variance request for Douglas and LaDonna Rader, project address 1535 South Frontier Drive, to install corrugated steel, sheet steel siding where code only allows residential hidden fastener steel or standing steel, architect steel on residential structures in the area zone R1. 2.2 is a variance filed by Matt Bush, project address 2605 Prairie Eagle Circle West, to construct four-season room that will be 9 feet from the west property line, where code requires a 20-foot rear setback in the area zone R3. So those two, Barry,
Yes.
city plan, would you like to
Phil
explain
Tremont.
some of these? And if we have people here, they can come up to speak. Go ahead, Barry.
Yes, the hearing examiner did review Mr. Rader's application. There are about, having gone out there and took a look, there are about a half a dozen properties that have had variances approved on Frontier Drive, both north and south. What Doug is applying to do is use decorative steel to match the decor, the outer decor of the home, and so it'll look pretty nice. And given the fact that there's already been a number of approvals of variances there, we recommend approval.
Mr. Rader, state your name and address for it.
Douglas Rader, 1535 South Frontier Drive, Huron, of course.
Okay. Do you agree with what Barry just said?
Yes.
You got anything to add?
Yep, the only thing was the exposed fasteners, which we're gonna do just like the rest of them that are out there. Yeah, it'll look very nice. So, a lot nicer than it does now.
Okay.
So,
Any questions from the commission? No questions? Thank you, Mr. Rader.
thank you.
Any motion to approve?
Move to approve the variance request.
Motion by Commissioner Rover, second by someone.
Second.
Is that with a similar color code as his residence?
Yes. Second.
Second by,
Yes,
okay.
it is.
Now we have time for discussion. Anybody, any questions? Mr. Commissioner Smith?
Thank you. Probably directed more towards Barry, but the steel siding issue pops up every now and then as far as what's acceptable, what isn't acceptable. Is the restriction more restrictive on the roofing material than the siding material? If we've approved 6 variances for siding on this.
Right. What is typically being approved is the siding. In Huron, there's a requirement for standing seam roofs in the code for all our districts, with the exception of I believe RO. One of the things that Tucker and I are just communicating about as of today is trying to further identify that area and then make a slight change in that ordinance to suggest that notwithstanding those other R districts that are in town, they would be approved. It would be an eligible use to use steel siding as long as it was decorative. And then the hidden fastener rule is something that's been in our ordinance for quite a while. It's much more typical when we're talking about steel roofs than it is siding.
Right.
Okay, because in most of the packages you'll see today they're not really hidden fasteners, but they're more like countersunk screws where they don't have, stems sticking out of the sides, just for fear of catching someone on, bumping up against it. So typically, it's more common that we have this variance for siding than it is for roofing, and then every once in a while we'll have one for roofs. But that's one of the things that the city attorney and I are going to explore as a way to better define that so that we can possibly get away from these variances in that area.
Well, it would seem to me, especially on siding, if apparently that's, even though folks have to go through the variance, we always talk about if it's a constant variance request, maybe we need to look at.
We need to look at the governance piece. That's correct. And so that's what Tucker and I will be doing.
Thank you.
If we can do so without violating
Correct.
equal protection laws and that kind of legal consideration, so I'm glad you're involving legal counsel on that.
Right. Yep. That's our intent.
But, and I guess just one more point on that, I'm gonna vote for it just because clearly the cow's out of the barn on this issue in that area, and I believe it existed at the time we changed that ordinance then too. I mean, that area had this kind of siding, and so we spent a lot of time on that just a few years ago. Ralph Borkowski had quite a visual display, if you remember all those sightings he brought in, and we looked at it in detail. So I think I, for one, would like to see us still try to adhere to the ordinance as much as possible, but realizing in this particular area it would not be fair or even logical to not grant the variance.
Right. That's what we're going to explore.
Commissioner Robish?
Thank you there, Mayor. I guess on a building of this size, probably, you can do hidden fasteners now on siding, and we got an expert that just walked into the room that can tell us more about that too, but that's not why he's here, so we don't call on him for that. But, we do go with the hidden fasteners on the roof, because we always have problems with the leaking around the screws, and that's where everybody comes in and says, it's not right and whatever. So it's, the hidden fasteners on the siding is, I would bet, more costly, very much. But anyway, that's kind of what that's all about and whatever. And I think the Raiders are fine with it as long as, because that was one of the stipulations that there was talk back and forth.
Just, you're right, Mark. The sidewalls on a standing seam, and I did a lot of research on it, and I mentioned a little bit with Matt when I was in here for the variance and stuff. The roof, the standing seam, is very cost productive. You don't have to go through a whole bunch of extra material to put that standing seam on a roof versus on a wall. So on a roof, you only have a few bags of hardware, where the walls, you have gazillion bags of hardware. So it takes the price of the sidewall from roughly 70 cents a square foot to $1.40 or up to $2 a square foot. Pretty close, Matt? So that's one reason why the standing seam is so much cheaper and looks a lot nicer on the roof, and it doesn't catch leaves and trees and all that other stuff. Or on the sidewalls, very cost productive to go with a hidden fastener. And I visited with our steel manufacturer, and he said there's no advantage to go either way on the sidewall, but the advantage on the roof is you don't have so much collection. So that was what I found out in my research and stuff that way. So it might help you guys in Barry down the road with his stuff also.
Sure, thank you. Any other discussion? Well, prior to we vote, I just want to make a notion that I've never heard of a cow out of the barn, but I've heard a horse out of the barn. So, moving right along.
Smith.
Aye.
Clue.
Aye.
Right?
Horse can be in barns. What are you talking about?
Aye.
Robish?
Aye.
Mayor Harrington?
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Rader. Our next one up is variance by request by Matt Bush, project 2605 Prairie Eagle Circle West to construct a four-season room that will be 9 feet from west property line where code requires a 20-foot rear yard setback in area zone R3. Barry, would you like to lead us into this
Yes,
one?
again, we reviewed this with the hearing examiner. The Bush's property butts right up against the municipal borders, right off the back of their lot. So we looked at that. You have the creek is right back there, so we don't anticipate any development or any abutting properties out there for the foreseeable future. I would venture to say, given the housing developments that are available and the land that is available and the infrastructure that is available elsewhere, it will be some time before this area would ever be developed behind their house to the west, where they're talking about this addition. So given that, it has little impact on any of the neighbors, and given the Bush's home layout on the inside of it, there's really no other way to add on to this house other than the way they're proposing to do it. So with that in mind, we recommend approval of this, as did the hearing examiner.
I see Matt Bush is here. Would you have anything to add to that, Matt?
Not really, pretty much everything he said, there's nothing back there. And we intended to come off there with a deck. The dining room jogs out 4 feet there, so there's a natural gable there, so the roof can continue out and add that four-season room.
Okay. I need a motion.
Move to approve the variance.
Commissioner Smith moves to approve. Need a second?
I will second.
Second, Mr. Bragg. Time for discussion. Anybody got any questions?
Just one comment.
Yes, Commissioner Smith.
Matt, you walked in at the wrong time, man. All of a sudden you became a witness for, no, that's all I have.
Anything else? All right, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Smith?
Aye.
Booth?
Aye.
Bragg?
Aye.
Robish?
Aye.
Mayor Harrington?
Aye. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Fast.
Thank you, guys.
All right. The Board of Adjustment adjourns to reconvene as a city commission. At this time, we're going to have public forum. Public forum is public comments may be sent during a live meeting broadcast on city's YouTube channel. The link is listed on the city website at www.hursdcom/citygovernment. In order to use the YouTube chat feature, please create an account with your YouTube and Gmail or use existing accounts. Please state your name and address for the record. Public forum is limited to the maximum of 3 minutes per person. Do we have anybody here for public forum tonight? Come to the podium, please. Your name and address,
My
please.
name is Pam Stanley, Pamela Stanley. I live at 1133 Kansas Northeast. And I'm going to tell you right now that I'm not happy I have to come here, because this should have been taken care of. That's it. And I am beyond angry about it. Now, I have lived for 33 years, well, 28 years, at 1133 Kansas Northeast. Most of that time, I have lived across the alley from Gary Rudloff. And most of the time, I have done everything to accommodate Gary Rudloff. Everything. He
Just-
has,
just
I'm going to speak now.
No, just-
I have went and let
Let's
him in my
refer,
property.
let's refer to him as your neighbor.
Okay, I'll call him
Not
my
as his
neighbor.
name
All
for
right,
specific,
okay,
please.
I'll do that, sir. I have done everything to accommodate him. He's done all sorts of stuff. Parks my property, puts his stuff on my property. I do rarely complain about him, very rarely, because I want to get along with him. Because I work a lot, I want to get along with him. Several months ago, he got mad at the city. They told him to do something. He got mad, dug up all his grass, put big piles of grass and dirt around. Then at the end of May, I had known his son since he was 4 years old. I asked his son not to race 8 feet from my house with his four-wheeler. He said, I can do whatever I want, it's my property. So Gary got mad and he went, my neighbor got mad and raced beside my property, and all the neighbors came out, I called the cops. So at that point, because my neighbor is so good at manipulating, he went and took the 6, about as tall as I am, piles of dirt and put them in front of my picture window where I watch my birds. So now I've closed my shades up because all I see is dirt when I look out my window. I've asked you guys, and I've asked the code enforcement officer, I've only complained about this person a couple times in 8 years. I said, will you please have him move that? Will you please have him spread it out? Will you please do something? But no, 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 no. He has the perfect right to do everything. So in this time period, because he knows how to manipulate, he keeps the piles of dirt in front of my window, a pile of dirt to bother the other neighbor, and then he's cleared out his trucks and all that from the back, and he's being a model citizen with the city in the other ways, as long as he can manipulate me. I think that according to your codes, I don't get it why this isn't taken care of. You've got codes here. You've got your litter code is debris, rubbish, grass clippings, or other garden waste. Your code 9.58020. You've got your nuisance code that's all about loose earth, mounds of soil, filler materials, all this stuff. You've got that on 9.58. You've got your decency code about trying to annoy your neighbor. I have tried everything to get along with this person. And he's done a lot of stuff to me. I am asking you to have him spread out the dirt, move the dirt, remove the dirt, or something. Because it is within your codes to do it. I'm asking you. I could take out money and do it. But I don't feel I should have to
Your time is up.
file any kind of, I've already talked to a lawyer about it. I don't think I should have to do anything because I am a law-abiding citizen and I am a taxpayer.
Ma'am, your time is up.
He may pay more
We
taxes than I'm
understand,
still a
and you're-
taxpayer. You do understand
We
that?
understand your public forum time
Okay,
is up.
I understand. I have the 3
Fine.
minutes. I'm sorry, sir.
We're done.
But that's the point. I want you to do something about it.
Okay, we'll take you under advisement.
1133 Kansas Northeast
We
to
all
the
know.
south of me is a vacant lot. He does not live there.
Ma'am,
He's
your time is
using it to
up.
be
I'm
ornery.
done. You're done.
Okay, all right, I'll let it go then.
Thank you for coming in.
All right, I would like you to do something.
All right, next up is consent agenda. I need approval of the consent agenda. Need a motion?
Just approval of the regular agenda, yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. It says consent agenda here. Regular agenda. Regular agenda approval, okay, yeah.
Are there any known changes, Mayor?
There is no change. No.
Then I would move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second, Mark Robich. All the, need a roll call vote, please?
Smith.
Aye.
Clute.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Robish.
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
All right. Now we can talk about the consent agenda approval. One at a time, I guess, huh?
All the time.
I need a motion for the consent agenda approval.
You're gonna read them?
I can read them. I can. 6.1, minutes of August 17th, 2020. 6.2, fuel quotes for city departments. 6.3, personnel items. Number 1, rehire Bethany Larson to be a part-time year-round library clerk. 2, promotion of Leslie Brunsma, part-time library clerk to a full-time library assistant. Number 3, promotion of Matt Bowen from water sewer treatment to treatment 1 to water sewer treatment 2. Number 4, hiring recommendation for 2 part-time positions at COVID call center. Number 5, rehire seasonal employee Jake Rieger for park maintenance. 6.4, set September 14th as a public hearing date to consider transferring 2020 retail on-sale liquor license from Lodge Steakhouse and Lounge, 460 Dakota Avenue South, to Elks Lounge, number 444, 460 Dakota Avenue South. 6.5, payment of library bills. 6.6, payment of city bills. Now we need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent.
For Commissioner Smith, need a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robish. Roll call vote.
Smith.
Aye.
Clute.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Robish.
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye. Okay, with that, we're going to go to ordinance and resolutions. I will read the resolution. Tucker, you read the resolution, then we'll have Dale speak on it.
It's not really a resolution.
Resolution number 2020.
Oh, yeah.
We have it?
Yes, we need to put there. Resolution number 2020-12, whereas the city of Huron is proposing to purchase a new walking floor trailer for their solid waste department's recyclables, and whereas the city of Huron is applying for a solid waste management program grant in the amount up to but not exceeding $49,900, and whereas the city of Huron needs to authorize a solid waste management program signatory, now therefore be it resolved that the city of Huron make application to the South Dakota Department of Environment and Natural Resources for a solid waste management program grant in the amount up to but not exceeding $49,900. And be it further resolved that the mayor of the city of Huron be the authorized signatory for all related documents, including application and pay requests.
Thank you, Tucker. Dale, you're here to speak, Superintendent of Solid Waste.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. We currently have 4 of these trailers that we shuffle around, haul into Pier, haul into Sioux Falls. Sometimes we might have to store a load on a trailer until we can get it to Sioux Falls for the recycling. So one of the trailers has structural damage to the frame. And we got as far as Miller, where we ended up breaking a part of the frame. So we transferred the load, brought it back, and had it inspected. And it's beyond repair on where the frame is set up, because it's kind of a uniframe that goes right along with the complete trailer. So I did talk to the state. They have given grant money out for these types of trailers that we haul to Sioux Falls. So the grant that we're applying for, going to try and apply for, they do have funds. They would do the matching funds on this type of trailer to haul to Sioux Falls. So therefore, one of the trailers that was going to Sioux Falls would be shuffled out, a new one would go in that place when we got the grant. This is all going into the 2021 budget. But to get the process going and ask for the grant so that we can get it submitted and awarded before the 2021 is what we're doing right now.
All right. Need a motion for approval.
Move approval of the resolution.
Mr. Clute, need a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Robish. Time for discussion. Any questions for Dale? Commissioner Robish.
Thank you, Mayor. Dale, with the two things. The first one would be on repairs, so we're not going to do, what are we going to do with that trailer?
Well, we still have the what they call the transmission that walks the loads out. So we can scavenge quite a few parts off it. To surplus it, basically we're just going to get the scrap iron. So at this point, we've thought maybe we could scavenge the transmission, the axles, different things like that that are similar to 2 other trailers that we have. So that's what the thought is. It will not even to use it for the fair would be feasible, where we have an older one that we use at fair down there during fair week. But this one, we don't even want to take a chance. We got it back here, did some welding, and it's just still, it's not going to be something that we want to even move around town, so.
Second question is, why is this a grant? I mean, good for us, but why is this a grant?
Well, with recycling, that's the priority is how can you ease the burden of the recycling with the markets the way they are and it's costing more and more to do these single-stream recycling. They are making these things just like the truck that we've got on order for this year, 50% paid. Those are things that they're encouraging cities to try and get into those parts of that part of the recycling, so.
One last question. The grant is up to 49,000 not to exceed, and that's a match, you say, how much are these trailers?
They're just under $100,000 for trailers.
That's it for me.
Okay. Any other questions for Dale?
So this was the one that has been in your capital assets budget from the beginning. You're just now getting approval for the grant.
Right, right. Regardless, we'll have to get a trailer. Just the way everything works out, that without that backup trailer, when we end up with ice on the roads, you can't, you gotta put bail somewhere. So that's, it works with the 4 trailers, and without that 4th one, it just makes it tough.
Thank you.
No other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Luke.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Robish.
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye. Department items, 10.1, consider memorandum for understanding for the South Dakota State Fair for use of city equipment, and authorize the solid waste department superintendent to sign an MOU for State Fair. Once again, we'll call on Dale from the solid waste department to explain what this is about.
We've done this before in the past, and we do have, we found in our files different times documents that this use agreement. The thing that is different this year is with the new container truck, the large one for commercial accounts, we haven't had that in this system. So we're adding that along with, they're gonna drive, we're not allowing, I think the last one we kind of gifted to them. This one, we're just allowing them to use it during the fair. So they're gonna have their own driver in it, operating it and stuff. We'll next week get them out there and do some training, and it'll help them out. And then they'll have a backup sitting there with their old truck that they have that we gave them. The semi and trailer is the one that we usually sit there. The difference this year is we're actually running the well, we did it last year too with the switching and employees that they had. So we'll continue to do that, and I talked to Peggy that we will keep track of our hours, and then we just bill that out along with the garbage that we bill for the overtime hours and stuff that we put. So this is just to say that they're gonna take that truck, and the other truck will sit there with the semi-trailer on the property. Correct?
Any questions for Dale?
Well, I guess I do have a question. And I don't know if it's covered in paragraph 11, the indemnification paragraph or not. But if they had an accident, who's gonna pay for the damages? Is the state?
Yeah.
South Dakota, I don't know if that necessarily says that, or does it? when you
Yes,
read it?
that's the intent of
Okay.
those last 3 sentences that were added to section 11. Whereas while they're using the
Okay,
vehicles.
okay,
Yep.
public entity pool for liability would cover liability, okay. Okay, I guess I should have read it a little more carefully before I opened my mouth. Thanks.
Any other questions for Dale on this topic? Roll call vote, please. Need a motion, I'm sorry, I thought we had one.
Yeah, we had
We had a
No,
motion.
no.
Yeah, I mean,
You moved the
oh, you're
last one.
right, I am very sorry, I moved the other thing.
Yep.
I was thinking the other solid waste thing.
Okay, we'll
I'll
need,
make a motion to approve entering into the memorandum of understanding with the state fair and authorize Dale as the superintendent to sign the same.
thank you, Commissioner Clute. Need a second on that?
I'll second.
Second, Commissioner Bragg. Now we need a vote.
Smith.
Aye.
Luke.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Robish.
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye. Once again, Paul Lynn, we thank you for being at our meetings to keep us in line.
We all have
We have a
short-term memory
system.
loss here.
Pretty obvious.
COVID thinking.
10.2, consider appraisal committee recommendations for the value of 2 surplus police pistols. I see our police chief is here tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. Last week, I asked the commission to surplus 2 firearms for 2 officers that left us after 23 and 25 years. We checked with Stryker's Police Equipment where we bought our current handguns. The trade-in value of the handguns after they've been used like ours have would be $250 out of a $450 cost. Just ask that you accept the appraisals so we can get those firearms to those retired officers after all years of service.
Motion?
I'll make that a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Roberts, need a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion for police chief?
Thank you.
No discussion, roll call vote, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Clute.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Robish.
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye.
Can
Ten-
I
Yes,
have one quick comment?
sure.
Just make sure the officers understand their appreciation for their years of service.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you,
10,
Mayor.
sure. 10.3, consider capital asset committee's recommendation for engineering department and to purchase survey equipment. And we're going to have Brett, our engineer, come up and tell us all about this.
Thank you, Mayor. As discussed during last week's work session, it came to the engineering department's attention here recently that our survey equipment has become outdated and is no longer being supported by the manufacturer. So we're needing to update some of this equipment. For instance, like our robotic total station, we actually have to use a motorcycle battery to operate it right now. So it's awkward and difficult to use. And then the other part of that is that if we have breakdowns moving forward, we won't be able to fix things as easy and have some issues. In addition, we'd like to update the equipment so that we can use the prefix library or point codes that other consultants use, and we can save the city money by doing survey for projects, and then they do that design, or if there is a design done by a consultant, we can do the stakeout, the construction staking, so it'll help, that helps pay for that and helps make the department a little more efficient in that manner. So what we're looking at is this year, in 2020, we would like to get a new S5, Trimble S5 robotic total station, and then the Trimble TSC7 data collector controller. We're looking at getting both of those in the same year. We discussed it with the Capital Asset Committee, and Pauline looked at the reserves, and it appears that we will have room to fit that in this year. So the total in the end is $31,477.20 to buy both these pieces of equipment and get us rolling again with our survey equipment. So the Capital Asset Committee did recommend to use second penny reserves to do this. We're just asking for the commission's approval here.
Need a motion?
I'd move approval.
Approved by Commissioner Bragg. Need a second?
Second?
Second by Commissioner Smith. Time for discussion. Any questions for Engineer Brett? No questions? Time for a roll call vote, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Clute.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Robish.
Aye.
Mayor Harrington.
Aye. Now, we're going to end it. We're going to go into our work session. We're going to continue our